What you are watching right now is not diplomacy, and it is not negotiation. It is something far more dangerous. It is the moment a 70-year-old alliance begins to fracture in real time, for decades. The rules were never questioned. America built the weapons, Canada bought them, Washington set the price. Ottawa signed the check. Everyone understood the deal, even if it was never written. But in less than 48 hours, that entire system cracked. When Donald Trump assumed Canada would obey like it always had. Instead, Canada stayed silent. And that silence triggered panic inside Washington. Because for the first time, automatic obedience was gone and the consequences were about to hit hard. It all exploded on a Tuesday when Donald Trump stood on a stage in Ohio talking about power, dominance, and allies who take advantage of America. Then, without diplomacy or subtlety, he turned north and named Canada directly. His message was simple: stay under the American security umbrella and buy American weapons only, no delays, no alternatives, no excuses. He demanded an immediate commitment to massive fighter jet purchases with a fixed price and a fixed timeline. This was not a partnership, it was leverage. Buy our jets or face consequences. And for the first time, Canada did not respond the way Washington expected. In the past, this tactic worked instantly. Canadian leaders would rush to Washington, promise cooperation, and buy time with studies and reviews. But this time, there was no press conference, no rebuttal, no emotional response. MarkCarney said nothing, and while cameras stayed focused on Trump, something far more serious was happening behind closed doors. In Ottawa, less than 6 hours later, a quiet directive was sent to the Department of National Defense. Canada did not approve the deal, did not renegotiate it. Instead, it suspended the exclusivity clause. And that single bureaucratic move changed everything permanently. Suspending exclusivity sounded technical, almost boring. But in reality, it was a declaration of independence because it meant Canada was no longer legally required to buy American equipment, and only American equipment for the first time in decades. Canada's defense budget was open to competition, and within hours, reports surfaced that Canadian officials were meeting European aerospace companies, not for photos, not for diplomacy, but to discuss real alternatives. France, Sweden, serious competitors. Trump had said, "Buy American," or else Carney responded with 3 words, "We will shop elsewhere." That response shocked Washington because the American defense industry had treated Canada as a captive market for generations. Contracts were assumed, forecasts were built, and supply chains depended on Canadian purchases. Trump tried to squeeze harder, and instead, the entire relationship slipped from his grip. Some dismissed it as theater, a bluff for domestic politics, but the evidence arrived quickly and it was impossible to ignore. The first signal came from Wall Street, where major American defense stocks dropped sharply within minutes, erasing billions in value overnight. Markets do not panic over speeches, they panic over risk. And investors immediately understood the danger. If Canada could walk away, others could follow. This was no longer about one contract. It was about reliability, and American defense companies were now tied to political volatility, which scares capital. Then came the second signal, a leaked Canadian procurement memo stating, "Every defense dollar must generate equal domestic benefit." Trump's deal offered cash for planes, no tech transfer, no investment, and by enforcing this, Rule Carney made accepting the deal legally impossible without ever escalating publicly. Then came the third confirmation: flight logs, showing Canadian government aircraft repeatedly traveling between Ottawa and major European capitals. Especially France and Sweden, those countries were not chosen. Randomly, they build fighter jets, capable of replacing American systems entirely. And if Canada signs one of those deals, the impact extends far beyond the jets themselves. Maintenance, software, training, parts, decades of revenue, suddenly looking for a new home. This was no longer symbolic. It was structural, and Washington could see billions slipping away with no clear way to stop it. The fourth signal sealed it. Canada's normally cautious tech and aerospace executives spoke publicly, supporting Carney because American defense policies often lock Canadian companies out, labeling them outsiders. Carney flipped the script. If we are shut out, we build our own industry. What began as a defense dispute became an industrial. Mobilization, public opinion followed polls, showed anger, not fear. And Carney converted that anger into leverage. The question became obvious. Why was the most powerful political figure on earth losing ground to his quiet northern neighbor so quickly? The answer is simple. Trump is fighting a world that no longer exists. His strategy relies on pressure threats, tariffs, and humiliation, and decades ago that work today. Countries have options. When Trump pressured Mexico, Mexico diversified trade. When he pressured Europe, Europe accelerated military independence now. Canada is doing the same. Each threat loses value. And inside, Washington officials understand the danger. The Pentagon knows the US and Canada share NORAD Arctic Defense Continental Security. If Canada stops buying American systems, interoperability breaks, and that becomes a security nightmare, not a business issue. Trump believes he is selling products, but he is actually selling cohesion, and cohesion keeps North America safe. MarkCarney understands this difference. If Trump is a sledgehammer, Carney is a scalpel, a former central banker who understands capital incentives and long games he knows. Trump needs fast wins, headlines, applause. Carney is buying insurance by opening bidding to Europe. He signals stability in chaos, and capital flows towards stability. He is also betting Trump's own donors will apply pressure, because defense lobbyists never stay quiet when billions are at risk. This is why it matters to you, because this is not just about jets. If US factories lose volume, workers lose jobs. If tariffs hit Canadian steel, prices rise. Cars cost more. Construction costs increase. Even daily goods feel its supply chains are interconnected. Damage one link, and the entire system reacts. Zoom out further, and this becomes the erosion of American influence. Allies are watching. Japan, Germany, South Korea. Loyalty no longer earns trust. It earns invoices. And when a country becomes a risk, others stop relying on it completely and quietly move on. One moment captured the shift perfectly. A reporter asked Canada's defense minister if he feared Trump's reaction. The minister kept walking, adjusted his coat, and said, 5 words. We are shopping, not begging. That is where this goes. Escalation, retreat, or permanent split. And the final path changes everything, because this is not about metal or engines. It is about who controls the future. Trump believes force still works. Carney believes strategy does. So now the real question is this. Is Canada defending sovereignty or daring Trump to break the alliance? And what do you think happens next? Follow this channel to stay ahead of every major development, breaking down what happens next with clear analysis, real consequences, and the stories shaping the future before they hit the headlines.